It's the end of an era and the end of a streak for the Gnoll Elementalist of Ashenzari. After 61 games of successfully leaving the dungeon with the orb, we come to game 62, where we meet our end in an ice cave on D11. So I'll share part of that game with you, the floor leading up to the end and then the ice cave itself. So this video will have real-time commentary as well as my post-hoc analysis. First thing I'd like to do though is talk a little bit about what I've achieved with this streak. So if you include the entire 61 games, this would be the fourth longest streak overall in Dungeon Crawl history. It's the longest mage streak, it's the longest Gnoll streak, and it's the longest single background or single species streak. So as we get into the game here, I just happen to be doing live commentary on this game, which isn't something I always do. So I guess we got lucky there that we have my contemporary thoughts as we're playing through it. So to set the scene a little bit, I'm going to start this game on D10. We have a pip of cold resistance, which becomes relevant because we're going to go down to D11 and go into an ice cave, which is where everything goes sideways. It's also worth noting that we got Ash early. We have 4 pips of Ash Piety online, which means we can't be shafted. And so I've made the decision based on that to go into D11 before going into layer, which is something I always do. I've made the argument elsewhere that going to D11 before layer is probably only optimal when you can't be shafted. You'd rather be shafted from layer while you're building up your piety with Ash than from D11. So that's why we're on D11. So we're a bit weaker than we would normally be getting to D11 if normal is going to layer from D10 and then coming back to D11. So that's notable. But we do have the cold resistance, as I said. We have Passage of Galubria as our movement spell, and we have the starting book. We also picked up the Summon Canine Familiar in between here and the Ice Cave. As you'll hear, I was feeling pretty strong cruising through D10. So that's the scene. I'm going to switch off the narrator voice here and go over to the live commentary. That way you can hear my decision making in real time. G, D, tank up, and we're feeling pretty comfortable here with our shield now, kite shield even, and 2 summons. Just in case you were worried about the yak packs after last time. Oof, okay. Multiple gates, they're both pretty far away. I do have 1 pip of cold resistance. I think probably what we do here, we've got the other upstairs right beside us here. So I think we go back up, we find the other downstairs, and luckily it's really close. The funerary rites portal is the longest lasting one. Oh, really? Oh, bummer. Okay. Try again. Any luck? A little better. Anyway, the funeral chamber one is the longest lasting portal. And the ice portal is a mid-tier duration portal, which means that we're going to go for ice first. We're going to cast G there and get a buff to our dog. Now I prefer the this funeral chamber area for the loot usually, but we're hoping that we can get both. This is a little awkward with the summoner down here. Okay, we're going to try to go quick. Not so quick we do something stupid, of course, but... Ooh, death yaks. Okay. Tank up. And we're going to start working on poison right away. We're going to step back right away as soon as Death Yak gets into melee range. Took them down pretty handily there. Not what I like to see when I'm trying to go quickly. So we'll just go the other way. More death yaks, and the ugly thing is kind of a pain too. Oof, one hit kill on the dog from the ugly thing. You hate to see it. Couple good pots there. We're not auto-exploring at this point because we're trying to save turns. Now, of course, this isn't great. Do have Wand of Digging. Is it worth using here? I think potentially it is, versus fighting that statue. Because we don't have a good solution to statue right now. Notably, Passage is essentially online at 14% failure rate, so we may be using that at some point. Let's just see if we can... Can't quite reach from this angle. One tile off. Oh, there we go. That should do it. Nice. Go break into the loot vault here. Okay. We're just going to be careful, though, at the same time. I'm going to jump in here as the narrator and ask you, the viewer, to decide what do you think the correct play is here. If you're being careful and you've just seen the ice giant come around the corner with his pack of friends, and you've just come from D1 straight to D11 and into the ice cave without doing layer first, what do you think the right play is? I'd love you to write me a comment on this video and tell me at this point what you would do here. If you guessed run away, you would be correct. The correct play 100% of the time is to run away. It doesn't matter what consumables you have, and it doesn't matter what's in that loot vault. Run away. At the very least, reposition. Pick a better fight. This is not the place to fight this fight with multiple ranged enemies, multiple red enemies, and you're in an open space. Do not stand here and fight this fight. Now, of course, I had just poked my head into this room and I said, look at all that loot. I can just about taste that loot. What is that? 10 different items in there? Well, I bet there's a Scarf of Resistance in there. Maybe a Leather Armor of Resistance or a spellbook. I'm sure whatever's in there is pretty good. Let me tell you, nothing in that vault is worth dying over. Nothing in that vault's going to win you the game. It doesn't matter. Just walk away. The correct play is to walk away. All right, back to the video. Let's find out what my commentary was, telling you why I decided to fight this fight. We do have one Curare and the Atropa. Atropa, not likely to blind either one of those. How about Paralysis? Not likely to affect either one. What's the play here? Poison Scroll? Potentially. I do not have poison immunity. It's going to cast poison behind me. The question is, how long can I tank? I do have Galubria. I do have an Enlightenment Potion if I need to fly over the water. I have Teleport Scroll, but I don't have Blink. And I've got Immolation. Immolation and 1 pip of fire resistance. Seems pretty risky. You know, it's not risky. Running away. I think we're going to go with Poison. We've got Haste, we've got Resistance, we've got Invis, 7 Curing Pots and Healings as well, Cancellations. Okay, I think we're going with Poison here. We know that's going to block our path to the backside, so the immediate next thing we're going to do is cast Passage so that we can hopefully skip some of that. Pretty bad Passage, actually. Now, Pretty Bad Passage doesn't even begin to cover this situation. If you look at where it is and where I was able to cast it, the Poison Clouds actually reduced my line of sight by 2 tiles. And so I couldn't even cast it at full range. So when I did, it was actually inevitable that it would be somewhere within my path. And the chances of that portal being behind me, the one that I wanted to step into first that is, are essentially nil. I would have had to step further into the room, into Poison, to enter the portal, and then the exit to the portal was going to be closer to me than I wanted it to be every single time. This is just the result of not using Passage that often and not thinking about how it was going to affect me, where it was going to be placed. Now that you're in this position, though, I once again fail to assess the danger of the situation, because not only is my exit blocked off, but in order to fly over the water, which is the only other direction I can go, I have to pop Enlightenment. I'm going to have to pop at least 1 Curing to walk through that poison. So I'm wasting quite a few turns. There are actually 6 tiles of poison until I can escape. One option you have at this point is to use Haste, Resistance, and then go from there. Probably Haste, Resistance, Enlightenment to fly up through the water. Haste, Resistance, walk into the poison, and do Teleport while hiding is also an option. You notice I could have went for the Haste and Resistance potion at this point that I mentioned earlier. And then I could have just walked towards this portal shown by the red arrow. And as soon as I did that, all of my poison gas would have been out of my line of sight and disappeared. I would have portaled and been safe. Let's see what I did instead. Go for a paralyze, maybe. Ooh. Ooh. Okay. Now, if you ever catch yourself making a noise like this while you're playing DCSS, the correct thing to do is to log off and walk away, because you're now exclaiming uncontrollably, and you're about to make a bad decision. Now, I just did a whole episode about taking your time, taking a deep breath, walking away when you need to, reassessing the situation. What happened is the ice giant blasted us and one of our summons with cold damage. It says you resisted it in the logbook, but it took a third of my health away. Now we have no summons, and this entire squad is barreling down on me all of a sudden. So obviously, I panicked. Should have just walked away. Instead, I panicked. I took 2 steps. I pop a curing to get rid of that poison. And now, do you see the misplay of the year on your screen? Because I sure didn't. I mentioned earlier I have the enlightenment potion to fly over the water. Instead, I'm trying to run away through the obvious path, not noticing the well-hidden green portal underneath my own green poison clouds. Oh. Wow. There it is. Into the streak. Because I walked into a passage that I wasn't paying attention to. Real bummer. So as you can see, I made several errors there. The first was misjudging the situation right from the beginning. I should have just ran away. It was an easy solution. In fact, if you're determining whether or not you should run away, and the alternative is to use several consumables, some of which are rare and strong, then that's always the wrong decision. The consumables should only be used after the fact, unless you absolutely have to fight and then you're pre-buffing. But I didn't have to fight this. So if one option is run away and the other option is use consumables, just run away. But after I decided to fight it, at the very least, if I was going to read Poison Scroll and then cast Passage of Galubria, I should have done it in the opposite order, because I would have got more range on the passage and I would have known the location of the portals, which could have and would have changed the tactics going forward. So then, once you make that incorrect turn order, and now you've got passage up and it's inside your poison, I then failed to assess the situation again. And as I've pointed out, there were several options you could have taken that would have gotten you out of that situation. And so I don't think the game was actually lost at the point that I was trapped by poison and had a bad passage. The game was lost when I panicked and started making plays much too fast. So that's what it comes down to. As simple as that. You play well, and then in a single moment, you misjudge a situation, you panic, a couple turns later, you're dead. Obviously, in the moment, if you listen to what I was saying, it felt like a gut punch. It kind of felt surreal that it was actually over. I hadn't died in so many games, so much playtime, 61 full games with an average of like 3.5 or 4 hours a piece. That's a lot of playtime to not die. So, make the best of a bad situation. I get to try other backgrounds now and other types of gameplay. So it's been a long time coming. It gets a little stale playing the same character over and over, the same god over and over. There's been a lot of new developments during this streak. New gods, or god reworks anyway, new classes, new species. So time to branch out a little bit. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you've enjoyed following along with my streak, if you have. And I hope that you would like to play the Gnoll Ice Elementalist of Ashenzari. It's a powerful character. and it's a great way to learn all the different options available to you in DCSS and how best to use them. So good luck out there. I'll be making more videos in the near future. In fact, I waited to make this recording until I had already beat another game. I jumped right back on the horse with something a little different, and I'll be sharing that video soon. I'll see you next time.